This is Wednesday afternoon, the 17th of November, 2004. My name is Neil O'Brien Tozer, and I'm going to interview Mrs. James Pine Furniss, Laleah Furniss, at the Atlanta Historical Society in Atlanta about her career in World War II. Mr. Furniss died in 1983. He was a beloved Atlantan. Laleah Furniss and I have been friends forever in our families, and he was a distinguished Atlanta person, and I knew him so much, and it's to do this, to honor him this way. He came to Atlanta to live after World War II, right, Laleah?
Yes.
And that was when you all met.
That's right.
And you were married in 48.
Correct.
Tell us, we'll get you to read some of this wonderful book. Jim's brother, Todd Furniss, who lives in Arizona now, has compiled a magnificent record of Jim's military career from his military records, and has put it in a book, and Laleah can read some of it if you choose. But what do you know about just a general synopsis of what he did? He was in the Army.
Well, let's see. He graduated from Yale in 42, maybe in the winter, at the end of 41, I don't know. But he knew that very soon, and soon indeed it was, that he would be gone. So he came to Atlanta briefly at the Atlanta Constitution, and then went into the Army. I don't know exactly what he did, but he went to a counterintelligence school that was in Chicago, I know that. And he was then he went to North Africa, as far as I know. I've had this book in a closet since 1948, and it was only at the insistence of my son last year that I even opened it and saw all these loose papers and stuff I didn't know anything about. So I shipped it all out to his wonderful brother, who's an academician, and he put it in order, a huge label, and now I have it, and I still haven't read through it. So they're just
We've scanned a few little bits.
Few little highlights I've seen. I know that he started off in North Africa, and I think it was in North Africa that he may have gotten the first Silver Star. I don't know. And then he spoke often of, he went up the boot of Italy, and there was some pretty severe fighting there, though he was not he was always in counterintelligence, but he was often under heavy fire. So he spoke often of Lucca, because once we went back, went on a trip to Italy, he had stayed in Lucca 6 months and he loved it. We had our daughter with us, and he was driving, and we were going to see Lucca, only he couldn't find it. And ultimately, when we got there was a great church spire. I said, well, that must have been there. Anyway, we found it. So that's neither here nor there. I will read this because nobody wants that.
Well, it's wonderful to have it all organized, beautifully done like that, and I expect that Francis Westbrook at the History Center will probably borrow it and copy it. A lot of it, and I'll get it back to you.
Now, I'll just read some of these because this is really my first. I haven't done any homework at all.
Well, it's wonderful to have you here.
So this is very helter-skelter. I've come upon this page, citation for Bronze Star Medal, Oak Leaf Cluster. James P. Furniss gives a number, Captain. Well, he went in, I guess, as a private or a sergeant. Maybe you're a sergeant when you get out of that school in Chicago. I don't know. But he had a field promotion, I think. So the first decoration, I think the Silver Star was while he was still a sergeant, but I can't find that. And this is the Bronze Star, 10th Counterintelligence Corps Detachment, I think assigned to the 10th Mountain, in connection with military operations in Italy from 25th January to 12 May 45. That was late on. Captain Furniss organized, brilliantly led in combat operations the 10th Counterintelligence Detachment, and by his personal valor accounted for neutralization of many highly important security targets. His leadership inspired those about him to action that assisted materially in the war effort of his organization and in the apprehension of peaceful government to Italy by his devotion to duty and the zealous manner in which he discharged his many responsibilities. Captain Furniss reflected great credit upon himself and the armed forces of the United States. Well, that's very nice.
Is that a picture of him receiving it?
I think this is getting the Silver Star from Mark Clark, whom he didn't much like. So I do remember that.
Hold it up so the camera can see that picture, though. Good picture.
Well, Jim is better looking than that, and Mark Clark is probably uglier than that.
It's a wonderful picture.
There we are. But he looks like a child, doesn't he? What he was. Okay. This is very faltering.
The Counterintelligence Corps was spy work, or intelligence work.
Yeah. I guess, yes, I suppose there were spies. There was certainly dealt with spies as well. I don't. Well, I'm looking for the nice one. I'm gonna find. Can we short circuit this camera for a second? No.
Yeah.
If I could just, I don't want to waste time looking for what I'm looking for.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
This seems to be the award of the Silver Star, Medal for Gallantry in Action to Staff Sergeant Furniss, and then it gives the medal number. So that was pretty early on, the 30th of December 42.
That's very early.
Yeah. It said for Gallantry in Action, Staff Sergeant James P. Furniss, numbers, CIC Detachment, Western Task Force, on the morning of November 8, 1942, at Fadala, French Morocco.
There's North Africa.
Although Sergeant Furniss had reached shore and had been ordered to seek shelter from enemy fire, he voluntarily returned into the water, thus exposing himself to enemy fire and at great risk to his own life.
Breathe slow, please.
Oh.
Exposing himself to
He
risk.
voluntarily returned to the water, thus exposing himself to enemy fire and at great risk to his own life, aided in rescuing Ensign E.P. Hoare and Private Claude Dye, Cannon Company 7th Infantry 3rd Division. After these men had been rescued, Sergeant Furniss again risked his life by standing in water shoulder deep among floating debris and crashing boats, and assisted in securing equipment which was in danger of being lost in the heavy surf. Well, okay, that was pretty.
That's quite an award.
Yeah.
It is mark it, please, so Francis can copy it. Yeah, put a good marker there. That's good.
And then, oh dear. I wish I could think of. I have all these things that I haven't studied.
That's all right.
discuss them much,
He never really talked about the war much.
not much, but he just adored the country of Italy. And we had lovely trips there, and actually, as a boy, he had not. So his love was formed during the war and after, as he, I think, wound up maybe in Austria as head of a hunk of CIC things. But his love of it was formed when he was in the mudslogging department of Italy,
Bloody war.
going up the boot. So, at any rate,
He loved Italy
he
ever
just
after.
did, and he spoke fluent Italian and French. So,
Jim was good in languages, wasn't
Yeah.
he? Do you think he had learned to speak Italian before the war?
No, I don't think so. I think he just had an ear,
Or
because he just had a good ear.
for language?
We could be in restaurants in New York and he could pass for a native of either of those countries. He really had an ear, which was a good thing because I speak very broken United States myself.
But I bet that's one reason they wanted him in the counterintelligence.
Probably.
Because of his
Probably.
language ability.
Probably.
Sure, that was one.
And, well, anyway,
So from Chicago, from that
Training.
counterintelligence school training,
Yeah.
he went to North Africa and was
Yeah.
in the North African campaign. You said he went to Casablanca?
I think that's where they landed.
Okay.
Probably. And I don't know where this Fadala is or wherever that citation was. But it must be some little town. I've been to Morocco and I don't remember such a town. But it may have been the place of a skirmish. I don't know. And very near port where they embarked.
Yeah.
So, and then I suppose they must have gone, well, I know he was in Salerno.
That was a huge battle. I
Yeah,
remember that.
he was in that. And this is the most helter-skelter thing. Not having a career in the flicks, you understand. So, I think I'm about at it. I've told you more than I know about this.
Well, no. One thing though, as we came down through the World War II exhibit and they had the uniforms in it, we saw nurse's aide uniform and you said you were nurse's aide during the war.
Oh, I was a Bedpan queen. Yes. And everybody I knew did
Where
that.
did you work?
Crawford Long, I think it was, in the Jesse Parker Williams Pavilion.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
Used to be that.
that's right.
It still is that.
I don't know that, well, I hope, in fact, that all of this huge Bedpan Division that we were all in did release a nurse or two to do something. We didn't do much. I mean, we, you know, everybody my age did it. So,
That was the point, was to release nurses.
oh, absolutely, yes. That was the point. I mean,
And it was a Red Cross nurses aide.
that's
wasn't
right, that's right.
All
That's
during
we
the war.
all did what everybody did. Bandages and knitting ill-fitting,
it? Garments.
horrible snake-like scarves with nobody. Anyway,
So Jim mustered out, as they say, after the war.
after the war and returned to, his father had been quite a leading doctor in New York City. I think his office was about 56th and Park or somewhere. Some people, years ago, a lot of people remembered him when we lived there. Anyway, during the war, his father, Dr. Furniss, died, and his mother became a permanent invalid, and the residence, which was in Manhattan House, was sold, and so he didn't have any place to come home to. So he came back to Atlanta, fortunately.
Married you,
That's
fortunately,
when
for
we
everybody
met, so
concerned.
that was just very good as far as I'm concerned. And he became a far better citizen of Atlanta than I ever was, and a good bit better than my three. I mean, he would, oh, I shouldn't say this because I adore my brothers. But he involved himself much more than many native Atlantans do, and that's often true of transplants who love the area, I think.
That is true.
Because he was Oh, he was chairman of the board of sponsors at the High Museum for 2 or 3 terms. And then, I forgot, he did a whole bunch of stuff.
Civic thing.
Because I know Carolyn Shaw wrote when he died, she said, we serve on so many committees, or I didn't even know he was on them. So, he loved Atlanta. So, he was a good citizen.
Yes, he was. I remember that.
And,
We miss him.
yeah, well, we miss a lot, like your father, a whole lot of people. We're lucky in a way to be our age, because we have such memories that are perfectly wonderful. And as we go to our next appointment, we'll take those memories with us.
Yes,
So that'll be
indeed.
that.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Laleah.
Thank you, and I'm sorry it was so dopey.